Hi, it's January in West Houston, Texas, and we're going to talk about the cost of living here. Now, the average is set like at 100, not the price. But Houston is about 96, so that's under the average price of cost of living. So the average home is about 197,000, give or take a few thousand, compared to the national average of 235, give or take a few thousand. The point is it's more affordable to live here than other parts of the country. Obviously, it's cheaper in the country. I mean, like out of the big city, but we all know the jobs are in the big city or in the city. Food is pretty average. Daycare, I don't know. You'd have to look up on Google the price for daycare. I have a son who I homeschool right now. I've been homeschooling him for many years. I was actually very impressed, like a lot of people homeschool around here, especially in my neighborhood. So everybody's very supportive. So it's very normal if you see kids running around during the day. When I was younger, I'd be like, they're out of school. What's going on with that? But now I know they're homeschooled. And the cops aren't going to be like stopping them and going, hey, what are you doing out of school when you're 10 years old? Most likely they are being homeschooled. There's lots of great schools around. Like any school, and I've had 3 kids and lived different places in the country. Schools are also an environment of where the children are and what decisions they make, the environment that comes from their home, and that combination of the fact that there's always going to be kids with drugs, or there's always going to be somebody who can be potentially aggressive or violent in the schools. So that's always something that's going to be there. People always say, what is the best school, or which schools are the best or better? Now, people will give you your opinions, or I will say what people say in different opinions. But in my opinion is, obviously, if a child wants to succeed and wants to do their due diligence to be successful as a student, they're going to do that, especially with parent support. So school-wise, the reason I homeschool is I had my other 2 kids go to regular school, and by the time I had my 3rd kid, I was like almost 40, and I was like, didn't want to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning, feed and get my kid ready, then drive him to the school this was like in another city of Texas, drive him to the school that was 5 minutes away, then have to wait a half an hour to get him in the door, and then on the way home it was a whole 45-minute process to go and pick my child up when it was only 5 minutes away. But it was like a main street, so it's not like you could walk there and walk them back. So there's all kinds of complications, and I feel like, with the schools, you're on their system, and I believe, we're practically on the school system, period. Like a lot of people buy and sell in the summertime because their kids are out of school. So a lot of things that happen is according to the school system and our children being in the public school. When I was in California, they had schools that were actually year-round, and they would have like 4 weeks, 2 weeks off, 4 weeks on, 2 weeks off, which was totally weird. And I was just like, oh, this is weird. I can't deal with that. I'm used to, school in the fall and winter and spring, and then you have summer off. So I felt like, homeschooling was the best choice for me because it could be on our schedule, and me and my son could have our own time we woke up and our own time we started school and finished school. And then I knew, that, his success is a combination of his motivation and mine. He does socialize sometimes, but not always. There are the things you do miss, like, the sports and the music and other things. And if he's interested in that, I could get him lessons for that. But otherwise, I digress and go back to the cost of living. So with childcare, definitely look that up. When my kids were younger, I lived in Houston for a little bit, my other two, and I'd put them in like a daycare place that was like 24 hours because I would work night shift. And it was like $20 a kid for maybe 6 or 7 hours. Yeah, it was expensive. So obviously daycare is not cheap wherever you go. You always have to be prepared for that as part of your cost of living in purchasing a home. Other than that, you get so much bigger of a house if you buy an older home for the price. They have brand new homes, but they're expensive. They're like almost like California prices. And they're awesome and nice, and new, but it's costing so much more to build them, and you get less yard and less square footage space. So if you want to get an older home, and it doesn't have to be 40 years old or 50 years old, it could be just like 10 or 15 years old. You can do that, and you can get it under $200,000. And you can get a house for $2-3 million or more. It's a huge dynamic here, and there are colleges everywhere, community colleges all over Houston and Katy and Cypress, and medicine is huge here. Great medical centers here. So if you're looking for an environment that's going to have great education for your children, Houston definitely has that. Houston supports artisans of all sorts, farmers markets to original artists through paint or other forms. So, and music, obviously it's like any big city. They have huge popular musicians come to sing or play their music. So I think, Houston, when you come here, you may think it's a little bit cloudy. There's no zoning, and because there's no zoning, it's not as attractive. Now, the newer homes that are building, they're trying to be more, aesthetic about their zoning and landscaping. But the rest of Houston is kind of like chaos. But with chaos, there's still a pattern, and you'll start to see that pattern. Anyways, hope everybody's having a beautiful day. It's gray, it's ugly, it's January, it's cold. But hey, I always tell myself, January. I just have to get past January because then the weather starts warming up. December had nice days in the 70s. I mean, like, what's bad about Houston? It's not tropical. It's subtropical because it does get cold, maybe like a month out of the year, or maybe a month and a half. But otherwise, it's beautiful. The sun comes out, it warms up, and then you have a beautiful swim season. So until it gets more cozy and warm, I'm going to be inside more. Bye.